Chapter 22. Purge had crafted an immense interior cafe for her new passengers. Sully watched Bro and his faithful silicone puppy wander through the simulated savannah wilderness and a stadium-sized enclosed plane. The retired Commodore nodded inside. He quietly placed his hand on the outer door control unit, the door sealing shut. Inside the IO-TARDIS, Purge was an obvious wonder of technological advancement. Temporal engineering meets biological intelligence, and the result was a fantastic, awe-inspiring, occasionally migraine-inducing miracle. Sully almost lit a cigarette, then gently placed the unlit smoke back in its pack. Then tossed the pack on the floor. The retired Commodore was so very, very tired. An inexplicable melancholy suddenly enveloped the old man. He stroked the worn, leathery skin of his face as he aimlessly shambled down the endless crimson corridors. He passed Jade's room. Then he passed D3's. He passed a room that had been set aside for use by Logish Fugel, who was brutally killed on Mercury during the War of the Rapids. Sully shook his head and sighed. For hours, he wandered through Purge's maze-like interiors, with everything tinted red. It was a stark contrast when he would now and again come across glimpses of the first traveler, Mr. White. The retired Commodore suddenly felt old. So very old. So ridiculously old. Exhausted, eventually, he made his way back to Purge's main control room. The man in red lay napping on the coral floor next to an antique mahogany lectern, his crimson fedora covering his face and crimson eyes. It was quiet in the IO-TARDIS. Only the gentle, reassuring hum of the time machine. Sully sighed again, and then sort of collapsed on a nearby plush red chair.
"What is it, Sully?"
Purge asked. The retired Commodore looked up, overwhelmed by the time machine's gentle and genuinely concerned voice. He began to speak, but his eyes welled up. So, as the man in red lay sleeping, and as Purge watched, helpless, Sully wept. Traveler. Chapter 3. Traveler shook his head. How many people are paying attention to Purge? That particular pillar, right now? He asked. Jade looked around.
There are some gawkers, but by and large they're going on their merries. You are very distracting. They look for a second, then go away. And I think you were trying to distract me as well. Why are we here?
We're not supposed to be here. Not me. Not Purge. Definitely. Traveler plucked the coin from the air and handed it to her. Not you. What year is it, Jade?
1997.
The people here are intentionally diverting themselves from us. He disappeared inside Purge. Traveler. Chapter 3, Part 2. Inside Purge, leaning against the control console, stood a dapper stranger in a smooth black suit. His arms were folded, his chin resting on his chest. Traveler stopped, paused, mid-movement. He stared warily at his future incarnation, not recognizing Traveler Black even in the slightest. Who the hell are you? The dark stranger peered up. You're not a High Lord yet, so I don't expect you to recognize me. I don't. Mr. White took an apprehensive step back. How did you get into Purge? Relax. I'm just here to talk. The door to the Endless appeared next to Mr. Black. White remained tense, his tired eyes regarding the sudden doorway to the time bar. Talk about what exactly? Black stroked his gray whiskers. Come on, let's get a drink. We have much to discuss.